This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the Mayor.
Yo, it's ODB, and I want to let everyone know before we jump into this episode, a big thank you to Scrapin' the Coast, the team behind Custom Car Show Productions. It's going to be an amazing 20th anniversary. They're lining up awesome vehicles already to showcase at one of the biggest, baddest shows in the country. It's June 24th, 25th, 26th in Biloxi. Scrapin', that's Scrapin' with an I-N, the Coast.com. Big ups to the family. We hope to see you out there. Much more to come on this famed show. Also, don't want to forget about Mini Truck Showdown family. Their next event on paper is going to be February of 2023, and that is going to be out there in Bakersfield, California. So much more coming on Kern County Showdown. Keep it tuned to OLP, and thank you so much to our title sponsors. Big ups. We'll see you at Scrapin' the Coast in less than 2 months. Yo, it's Our Lifestyle Podcast, episode 287. Cannot believe it. And we're coming at you from the Custom Car Show Productions compound here in Florida. Of course, we want to give a huge shout out to Custom Car Show Productions. As you always hear at the top, their next event is the 20th anniversary of Scrapin' the Coast, going down the last weekend in June. It is on the OLP official show calendar, which you can subscribe to on our website, ourlifestylepodcast.com. Of course, that's going to be the weekend of June 24th through the 26th in Biloxi, Mississippi. Also, huge shout out to our family at Mini Truck Showdown. Of course, their event, as we have announced, unfortunately is canceled for June. It was going to be the first weekend in June, but they are on target for Kern County Showdown next February. More to come on that. So, this episode, Miggity Mike the Mayor is out. He's out like Hollywood Mike Miranda on the Hell track in the 1986 Cult Classic. But rest assured, we got a jam-packed agenda for you for 287. I'm getting ready to call DJ Mays. I don't know if he knows, but he's going to be guest co-hosting at least for a few minutes. We'll link up with him. We'll talk to Graham Hancock. Of course, he's out there in Utah. We'll talk to him about his show that's coming up here in just a couple weeks. And then on the docket, I've been wanting to get with Tim from Acrophobia, Florida. A really good dude. We'll have him as our title guest. So sit back, relax, go get you a cold beverage right now. I'll give you a minute. And let's get the show on the road. Thank you to everyone that continues to come back. And we want to thank Graphics Mafia. That's graphics with an X. GRAPHIX Mafia.com. If you need stickers for your SEMA vehicle or your regular vehicle or a club vehicle, hit up Graphics Mafia on Instagram, Facebook, or of course they're also on TikTok. Let them know that OLP sent you. They'll make those decals or stickers for you. They'll take care of you. Ask for Buddy or Ryan. They're good peeps. Yo, so at the beginning of this episode, like I said, we're going to jump right in. And before we do the last episode recap, I just want to welcome DJ Mays. He called into the hotline. And Mays, man, dude, you're spinning in between. I don't know how you're on Twitch all the time, and then you're able to still make a few minutes to dial into OLP.
Well, see, when you guys accidentally give me a phone number to be able to dial once in a while, and I just randomly call, and, I never know who I'm going to catch on the other side.
Dude, that's the truth. We had such a good time at Mini Truck and Nats. Here's the funny thing. When I record the reels, it's video, but when I post it, I pick a song and it overrides that the audio, right? It mutes it out.
Mm-hmm.
What's so funny is I did maybe 15, 20-ish short clips, but every time I go to post them, I always hear your voice in the background before I pick the song, and it's because you were up there doing, dude, such a wonderful job, and I want to give you a tip of the cap, man. Like, I told Jason Bell on one of the posts that it was probably my favorite show of all time, and that's, I love Showfest. It's got a big thing in my heart, but everything from the cruising, the camaraderie, But, dude, you're a part of that, too, because believe it or not, people don't realize it's not easy, okay? And I know you don't want me to bask about you, but, up on the stage all day, keeping people kind of entertained, keeping people up to date, kind of like a cruise director, dude, you did it, and that's why DJ Mays is on the rise at all these shows, bro.
I'm right there with you on when it comes to, I remember all the days of Greenville and going to Show Fest and everything else. So that was one of my favorite shows too. But this year at Mini Nats, the weather was perfect. The right people were there. It was just an amazing weekend. And, honestly, Saturday was a big blur. Like I remember getting on stage and I remember playing the national anthem. After that, I just remember it being over. The whole day went that fast. Friday was a little calmer, a little slower, but it was fun to kind of get all the podcasts together on Thursday that we did previous to the show, and then we did a little bit of stuff on Friday, whatever else. But it's not very often we all get to be together, so it was kind of cool to be able to do all that and all. And honestly, I tell everybody all the time, it's a complete honor and a blessing to be able to do what I get to do, and then be at that show for how big it was. It was amazing to be able to stand up on that stage, especially when we play the national anthem and it just echoes through the mountains and everybody stops. I mean, even people that were pulling in with their vehicle just literally turned off their vehicle, stopped, and got out. It was so crazy to see. But hey, hats off to Jason Bell and the crew. They put on the show. My part's easy.
Yeah, deeply rooted in our heart, that American flag. And listen, as well as I do, Hammer and Hank from Hammered Weekend Wear, he doesn't just stop for anything, dude. Let's be honest. I mean, we've seen him like in, 5-star Grand Theft Auto car chases, not in real life, maybe in the game, but he even stopped. And, he knows how much near and dear, that flag means to all of us. So respect, dog, to you, to Bell, and everyone that kind of makes that happen. Hearing that national anthem, it hits you hard, man.
Well, and I know all about Hank being on the move all the time. He's here with me. Hank came home from Mini Nats with me, and he had to check in with the baby mama and the probation officer. So I was like, Ron, Adam, let him chill with me, do what he's got to do, and then we'll link up at Relaxin In The Park.
Yeah.
And he can head back whichever way he's going.
Yeah, please, all to the listeners, do us a favor, download Twitch and search DJ Mays Radio. Please do it. Hank made an appearance recently, and you get a chance to hear this free set that DJ Mays throws down several times a week. The cool thing is, the thing that I had to warn Hank one time is when we went to a show back in the day, he had an ankle monitor on, and he had a hacksaw he brought, and he was going to, I think he was going to cut his leg, and he remembered some old Mad Max movie or something. I was like, yo, bro, let's just cut into the ankle monitor, you know what I mean, and get that off, keep your foot. And he goes, oh, good point. So, sometimes he just needs the reinforcement.
The first night we went on Twitch, I had to call his probie real quick to see if we could take the ankle monitor off or turn it off because it was interfering with everything.
Right. Yeah,
it was feedbacking through the system. I'm like, I can't have this. Can we do something here? But luckily his probie's pretty cool. So
right, we'll let him out. But, congrats again. Follow DJ Mays Radio on Twitch, and you get that notification. Many of us are busy. Maybe you can't link up on a Tuesday. Maybe you hit a Friday deal. But you can watch it like I do on Apple TV, and it makes for a good kind of house party environment. And, you get a chance to hear some cool music. I'm constantly find myself, Jay, using for those that don't know, Apple had bought Shazam, which is that app that many people use, and you can kind of just go, hey Siri, what song is this, or you can do the Shazam deal. And I found some really good some jams, bro. You know what I'm saying? So tip of the cap.
Oh yeah, dude. We're always, especially on Thursdays, Throwback Thursdays are obviously the best. And I don't know why we do that, because honestly, we do throwbacks pretty much every night. So we have one night specifically for that, but it's always a good time. And we just hit just over 1,000 followers. So we had a big party and gave away free registrations to shows and, other merchandise and stuff, not only mine, but from Asphalt Army and Laid Out Clothing and other people. So, it's a way to give back and give thanks to everybody for jumping on there and kind of making this thing into something way bigger than I ever thought it was going to be. I thought it was just something kind of fun to do for a little bit, but people keep responding and keep showing up. So I'm just going to keep doing
it. Yeah. And I want to give, this is an impromptu shout out, the clothing company you just mentioned. Okay, reinforce them because I know that they've been doing a good tie-in with you guys. We also recently saw their merch on TV via Carfix, and that was laid out, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. And was that the Betty White shirt?
Yeah, and what was funny, remember, we were at Lone Star Throwdown, and I think it was you that had driven us, like, it seemed like an hour to go to In-N-Out Burger, and someone had the Betty White on, and I sent it to my wife. She goes, yo, I need that. So, I got the link, and so Justin was wearing the Betty White, and he sent the link, and my wife ordered it and laid out clothing. They had sent a bunch of stickers and stuff, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, that's our family up there, Jesse and Jesse. Good people. They were at Altered Metal. That was only the second show they got to vend at. Our show last year was the first show they got to vend at. So they've really kind of taken this thing kind of seriously. He's actually done some awards for us for the show this year and stuff. So Jesse's stepping up his game every day, but super good people based out of Indiana area. And don't get it mixed up. There's laid out clothing and there's laid out apparel. I think the laid out apparel guys are down south somewhere, and then the laid out clothing, those guys are based out of Indiana. But good people, yeah. Jump on that on their book face or Instagram, on the net and order up. He's still got some of those Betty White shirts left, and he's always producing new stuff, and he's actually using graphic disorder to do a bunch of his printing now too. So, tip of the cap to obviously graphic disorder, who's still running the game when it comes to printing.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So briefly, I just want we hit on mini nats last week, but the last episode recap. If for those that haven't went back to listen to 286, please do. We had this unique perspective where we talked to 4 or 5 people from the event. Now we're talking to Jay, Barbaglia, DJ Mays. So go back, show some love, and the last episode recap brought to you by Lone Star Throwdown. Just want to remind everyone, Lone Star Throwdown last weekend in February. Next year will be the 12th annual. Later this year, the pre-registration will open, and we're going to let everyone know. We're going to try to let everyone know before they can let everyone know. You know what I'm saying? But so, dude, Biggity Mike the Mayor is out this week, kind of like Hollywood Mike Miranda was in Rad whenever he took the bail and on Hell Track. He couldn't keep up, at least in the movie.
Yeah, but he had dramatic exits. Mike don't have a dramatic exit.
Right, yeah, Mike's just gallivanting, Dude, we've got the official ruling. Apparently the tick marks do carry over. And I hope you've got an appetite for this one because it's a music trivia from 1987. And I gotta say, DJ Mays, are you ready?
Okay, players, now it's time to get serious.
Sure, okay.
Dude, this debut album from this American rock band that went down in history as one of the greatest rock bands ever. Okay, so think 1987. Okay, this album was released July 21st of 87.
Okay, so I was 11. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can think back to that era, right? And you think of all the hair bands and stuff. But in 87, this band comes out, okay? And the odd thing, doing some research, really it had little mainstream attention in 87. The following year, it kind of became massive commercial success after the band toured. One of the videos even features a lookalike from the lead singer. And I guess it was a little, from what I recall when I was younger, I didn't look this up, somehow someone had snuck in one time and had a, look like this guy. And, not a tandem axle, but he kind of looked like this guy. And apparently, so there was like this little nod they did in there to the video. But what was cool is if you think back, although they went on this 20-year deal, where they didn't really release new music, it'd be hard pressed to think back to 87 and think, damn, dude, what an era. Do you kind of happen to have an idea maybe who the band was?
Well, I mean, I can think of a handful of bands, especially when you get into that mid to late 80s, 86 to about 89, right before gangster rap really took off and took over everything. I think of several bands, but I don't think of anybody that was fairly necessarily new. So you're saying that this is an artist that was out for a while and then got big, or
this was their debut album, and they sung about a city that apparently Hank really grew up in. He grew up in this type of city. You know what I mean? He didn't have to cut the grass or anything. But it was like one of those cities where you kind of go. It was kind of like the Wizard of Oz. It's just the city you want to go to.
Well, and I think if I remember right, the lead singer of the band you're referring to actually got barred permanently from a venue here in St. Louis.
Ooh, yeah, I know one time they had a hellacious deal up in Canada. They had the fans ripping seats because this guy, much like Hank, he will refuse to go on stage at certain points. You know what I mean? And that's one thing you learn, that you really can't do that, because then you're going to leave the mini truckers. You don't want to leave them high and dry. Like this guy would do with his fans in the '80s, dude. What an animal!
Well, and I believe it was VH1 or one of them did either a behind the music or whatever on this particular band, and they talked about that, how he literally wouldn't show up at shows and several other things. So yeah, unlike Mike, I am an '80s baby that understands a lot of this stuff. But of course, being a DJ, I mean, who wouldn't know this band? I mean,
yeah, you'd have to have an appetite for this kind of music, right?
100%, yes.
Right. So I mean, I'm thinking, Mike, for Halloween, if we could get the right wig on him, I think he could pull off the lead sing deal. You know what I mean?
Well, it'd be a really thin wig, and then you just had to have a bandana on top.
Right.
So it's not, you'd be pulling off like a Hulk Hogan almost, and he's down closer to Mike down there, so he should know how to pull that off.
Yeah, and I could wear the top hat, you know what I mean? And I've never been, one to I got some candy smokes, but I could maybe try to pull that deal off.
Well, speaking of the top hat, didn't the guitarist in this band, didn't he do a track for Michael Jackson?
I think he did.
I want to say Dirty Diana was the track that he did for him.
That was later. That was like the 90s album, that weird album.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yes.
Yep. Yep. And I have a photo of said person we're talking about with the hat in front of a Lincoln that I saw in a Rolling Stone magazine that I had to buy the whole magazine because there's one photo of him standing in front of a 66, 67 Lincoln playing a guitar, and I go, I got to have it,
Well, and for all the listeners who are chomping at a bit over there, either going, you don't know, or the ones that are going, okay, I know who it is, just say the frickin' name. It's Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, dude, Appetite for Destruction. And it's hard to believe that it was only in '87, but you remember back in that era, whether you had MTV or a friend, dude, I remember seeing Paradise City constantly, and all of those awesome songs, dude, like Sweet Child O' Mine. I mean, the rumor was that Hammer and Hank may have ghost wrote that one, but that's just kind of hearsay.
Well, when Welcome to the Jungle came out, it kind of set the tone, A, for what the band was going to be, and B, it pretty well told you that, hey, dudes, we're here, and we ain't going nowhere for a little bit. And, ultimately, like many bands, they self-destructed on themselves, more or less, more than anything else. But I mean, when they came out with that double album too, like when November Rain, I think, came out, I think it was on that album. But they had two different covers, two different discs, and this was back. And anybody who's in their 20s, even early 30s, probably don't remember this, but this was back when you used to go to places like Musicland and Sam Goody and places like that, and you would stand in line and wait at midnight, and you'd be a line around the building waiting to get in to buy these CDs when they came out. So, yeah.
Yeah, and think about this. This will probably never happen in our lifetime again. I didn't look at the RIAA to see what the official number is right now, but it's no secret. They sold over 30 million copies worldwide of their debut album. And, in this day and age, I mean, it's hard, going back in history to, have a debut album to sell that much, but it's one of those that, who wouldn't want to own the rights to it? At 30 mil, you started getting up to Michael Jackson numbers, the Beatles, some of these all-time greats, and man, I look back and say, dude, what an era. I'm glad I grew up in it, and although I may not have been the biggest Guns N' Roses fan, like when I've always read about on the Rolling Stone stuff, how they kind of got their little bit of a, start in L.A., playing these clubs and all that, but it is a cool story. But I'll tell you this, the last thing I'll say on it is neat to me that after all these years and whatever issues they've had, they have gotten back together. And I'll tell you what, they might play mostly the old stuff, but it's just what the fans want.
Right. And I believe, I want to say it was just the other night, I thought Axl Rose came out on stage with, I think, Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, I saw
I want to say at the Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony or whatever else, and he came out and sang Paradise City with her or whatever. I just remember seeing something on social media, but I was like, holy shit. Of course, Axl Rose is, no different than other people like us as we get older. He's not the skinny little toothpick guy he used to be, but
Yeah. Well, the trivia with DJ Mays this week brought to you by AccuAir. Big ups to AccuAir for the continued support. Check out AccuAir.com for air fresheners and things such as that. Oh, by the way, don't forget to hit up their YouTube channel. They have a lot of new content they continue to drop. Mays, I know you got a lot going on tonight. I got a couple more things for you, and then I'll let you cut away. Before we talk about the scene updates, really, this is the scene updates. We hadn't had a chance the last couple weeks to really link up. You guys in the RA chapter up there in the Missouri area have done a wonderful job. You guys have had fought off adversity from floods to all sorts of different things, venue changes and whatnot. But Relaxin in the Park is coming quick, and I can tell you what, you guys have really hit the ground running hard the last 6 months, 12 months promoting this one. How excited are you for you, and can you give us kind of the latest lowdown on this badass event?
Well, the excitement and the nerves at the same time build, but we're super stoked for this year. We believe we found a home finally in this new venue. We're pretty sure that this city, the city of Festus, Missouri, is going to be where the show is going to stay for quite some time. The city supports it, which is huge, and they're right behind us. And instead of sticking their hand out, wanting money for everything, they're throwing their hand in, saying, "What do you need?" We just finished up pre-registration. It wrapped up on May 1st, and we had a record number of pre-registrations this year, which was 223, which tells us that we're continuing to grow and we're obviously doing something right.
Yes.
We did focus a little bit more this year on some of the lifted trucks because those are really what's popular right now. Not the squatted trucks that tend to bring the youngsters that create the problems, but the really nice lifted trucks, a lot like what you see at lifted truck nationals or LST, or a lot of the nicer ones that are scraping the coast, that kind of a thing. So we did put a focus on those guys by bringing on TIS wheels and Dropstar wheels as the official wheel, Versa tire, P3 billet, which do some amazing hooks and other things that some of these guys are putting on their bumpers and stuff now. So we've kind of catered to that a little bit, but we haven't lost our roots. We still have Airlift Performance on as a stage sponsor, and we'll have 4 different clothing vendors, including Sylvia, but Girl Truckin was going to make her first trek up this far north. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for her to be here because I really think her brand is going to speak to a lot of the women up in this area, I think, very well. So, but everything's really kind of lining out real well. We'll have the pre-party on Friday night. It's actually hosted at a brewery, even better. So if you like to partake in the adult beverage, you should have fun doing that. Then, the show on Saturday, and then cruising Saturday night on Main Street. We'll be able to cruise at the park this year. You actually be able to make laps around the park. Kind of like the old days of several other shows. I know Camp and Drag and some others you can do that, but some of the shows have gotten away from the opportunity to be able to cruise at the show. So we'll have that option, and the awards will take place at noon on Sunday. And huge shout out to Doug Johnson with Creative House, who did all of our acrylic awards. Josh Welch with Welch's Chop Shop doing a bunch of awards for us. Jesse at Laid Out Clothing has done some of the awards for us. So we have a big variety, probably about 115, 120 awards altogether. So everything's shaping up really well. We'll give everybody final details on the week leading up to the show as far as last minute things and whatever else kind of deals.
Yeah, and Creative House, KRE, and then number 8, IVE House. They do some of the coolest stuff out there. I'm looking at his feed now, and to your point, he continues to push the limits. We have Graham on a little bit later, and what I want to reinforce to everyone is by the time you're hearing this, you're basically 1 week away. You got Battle in Bama and then Cruise of the Pines, which is super, those are going to bring out a lot of folks, right? 2 weeks from day one, listeners are going to, be at either Relaxin in the Park. Graham will talk about Rollin in the Red Rocks. And then you also have down here in the Tampa Bay area, you have Made of Steel. What's cool, though, is that you guys kind of cementing in this mid-May time period, which many of us remember back to the old days of ShowFest. Although you've had to pivot and move, you've been able to constantly focus on having still an event for the community. What's the appetite, you think, for people coming from the surrounding states? Because I've continued to see the support from all the different areas.
Well, I think being centrally located is a huge help. For some of the people further down south or closer to Gulf Coast and even Florida and whatever else, it sounds like it's a really long haul, or it's a hard trek to get up here. Dave DeCorver and Kim came up last year, and I think for them it was about 9.5 hours from where they are in Florida. So it's not too bad of a deal. But being centrally located, I think, is a huge help. I think that is what kind of makes people say, hey, look, I've never really kind of been to that area. Let's go check this show out. Then, of course, I mean, who doesn't want to come, a day early or stay a day late, maybe catch a Cardinal game? You've got the St. Louis Arch. We've got one of the best zoos in the country. We've got the St. Louis City Museum. There's so much to do. Of course, Anheuser-Busch Brewery, you and I know that. We went there together.
Oh, yeah.
So there's still a lot to do, even though the show was about 30 or 40 minutes south of St. Louis City, which St. Louis has unfortunately developed more and more of a bad reputation. But that's really mainly between about 4 p.m. and like 6 a.m. So if you're there during the daylight hours, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., you're fine. Nothing to worry about there in St. Louis. You're probably fine. But and that's just me speaking as a person that's lived in this area all my life. I wouldn't go down there after dark. That's just me. Not anymore. But, so you still have that option when you come to town. But, overall, we got Emo's Pizza. I mean, you had Emo's the first time you were up here, you and Chuck Dog.
Yes.
And I remember it was you or Chuck Dog. One of you guys, the first words out of your mouth was a thin cracker crust. Okay.
Yeah.
and there it was. What was you, me, Chuck Dog, and Ron? I think that was all sitting there eating. I think is what it was.
Oh, it was, and it was so good, man.
Yeah. So you got Emo's Pizza. And of course, we got the Hill. Down where we ate at Joy's Deli. And I think did you go with Sean and Greg down to the Hill again on Saturday for dinner?
We did. Rest in peace, Greg. And I tell you what, we had just such a fantastic meal, just a good time down in that area, man.
So what's cool about now in our new location is everything is centrally located there. So literally the hotels are less than 3 miles from the showgrounds. There is everything you can think of to eat right there in town. Main Street will be open for us to cruise and hang out. They're going to give us one giant parking lot to be able to hang out in all we want to kind of deal. So as long as we're respectful with the city and don't do the things we know we shouldn't do, from whether it be burnouts or whatever else, I don't think that you'll have the room to pick up to be able to drag a whole lot, but there is other areas around that you could do that. But we're already preparing the police to make them understand that this is just kind of what we do. And they're very supportive of everything that we've talked about so far. So I think, if you like cruising, if you like a variety of vehicles, a ton of mini trucks, full-size trucks, lifted trucks, there's going to be street rods, hot rods, everything else. If you like good vendors, you like good food trucks, because we're going to have cheesesteaks, egg roll and Hut's going to be here. So there's a plenty of variety here. There's lots to do. We'll do the auction, great awards. Cruising to me is going to be the most fun part to the whole deal. But to me, I think we've wrapped everything up as a whole package. And as long as things go well this year, I don't see any reason for us to move. And we can fit 1,500 or 1,600 vehicles in this new park easy without even thinking about it. So, we don't have to worry about selling out, I don't think.
Yeah, we're talking to DJ Mays, and we're talking about Relaxin in the Park, just how it sounds, May 20th through the 22nd in Festus. Of course, you can go to Relaxin with an IN, Relaxin, and then another IN, relaxinthepark.com. You can get more information. There is some product out there to purchase. I will tell you this. I talked to Vic the other day, and he reinforced Matt Diaz, one of our Mini Truckin Matt on Instagram. He's one of our severed petitioners in Florida. He, as well as his lovely lady, they are going to gallivant up, and apparently they're driving. Now, he's not going to bring his Nissan Hardbody, but, he's heard us talk about it, and, he's a guy that wants to kind of get out and hit some more shows, and there's one guy from Florida that's going to make it, and I'm proud. There's more, but it's cool that they're actually going to drive up and they're going to make it, kind of that, that family weekend. You know what I mean?
Well, and a couple people did, because of Battle in Bama getting moved to the weekend before the show, people that used to do the mini Nast and Battle in Bama stuff. Well, there's several people, including Glenn Brown from Custom Scene Podcast, that's literally leaving Battle in Bama and coming straight here and going to hang out for the majority of the week. And I know we're supposed to hang out and go try to hit the arch. They want to go to the City Museum and do a bunch of stuff. And I know Dizzy's going to be in town. Matter of fact, I think he's picking up the mayor and Chuck Dog at the airport, I think, on Friday.
Dog track, you mean? Or no, yeah, airport,
right.
Sorry.
yeah, whatever you want to call it there.
Right.
But we have, looking at pre-registration list, we have people coming in from, last year we had 16 different states represented.
Pretty damn good.
This year I can't say for sure how many there are, but I know that there is Texas, there's Tennessee, there's Kentucky, there's Illinois, there's Arkansas, there's Oklahoma, there's Mississippi, there's Alabama, there's Florida. And I'm just running through this list real quick.
Dude, okay, I want to hear the capitals of all these states, man. You're rattling these things off. No, you're good with it, man. You're good with it.
Yeah, no, so we've got them coming from all over, which is great. And again, I think that just is because we're so centrally located, and it gives, a lot of people might have been to Camp and Drag in the past, and that's a little further north and a little further east than what we are, but we can get that opportunity to pull people from 6 or 7 neighboring states real easy, because for the most part, most of those runs are anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. That's nothing to drive anymore. So, it works out well, and the numbers are looking really good, and I'm hoping as long as Mother Nature doesn't pull a LST on us this year, we should be fine.
Yeah, no doubt. And go on Google Maps and type in Festus. I remember it like this as a Seinfeld fan. There was Festivus, which was kind of ties into George Costanza, but Festus, Festus, Festus for the rest of us, right? Missouri,
right?
Festus.
Right.
You can look it up there, and it's a cool little town there on the west side of the river. Relaxinthepark.com, Facebook, Instagram, of course, go in there, check it out. If for whatever reason you can't make it this year, Maze has talked about a lot of cool things. I had never seen the arch, the gateway to the south, as they call it. That was cool. We went up to the top of it. We went by the stadium. There's the rich history of Anheuser-Busch, of course, being there. So you could do the tours. There's a lot of cool things. Maze, anything else you got for us before we know you got your set going on and you got other things you're dealing with tonight?
So, no. I obviously, I appreciate your guys' support. You guys have been there with us since day one. You made it up for the first year, so you got to experience everything last minute like we did. But no, everything's looking good. If you're got any kind of questions at all, don't be afraid to reach out to me whatsoever about the show. But again, we'll go live the week of the show, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, just to go over last minute details with everybody and fine tune stuff. And if anybody is traveling this upcoming weekend, if there's shows, or even next weekend, I know for Battle in Bama and stuff, be safe doing that and get out and support all the shows you guys can. It's easy for me. I get lucky. I got the honor to get to DJ a lot of these shows, so it's easy for me. But you guys don't, and not everybody gets that opportunity. So if you get the opportunity, even if you can't bring your own vehicle, go support and hang out for the day, if nothing else.
Yeah, and if you, like many I've run into at shows that go, I can't say his last name, just type in Jason space B-A-R-B, like a barb, and it's gonna pop up, Barbaglia. It took me a while to get it down, and I still don't know if I got it right, but you know how we do, man.
Well, trust me, I've been called worse things than that, so my wife calls me plenty worse things than that, so it's not that big of a deal. But no, it's going to be a great show, and I know the mayor's going to make it up in Chuck Dog, and I know you were looking and trying to figure stuff out flight-wise and everything else. So, this year, Ron was supposed to fly down, but I think the last flight he looked at round trip was like $700 to fly in from Oregon. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, it ain't worth all that. That's just ridiculous. Yeah. So, I understand airfare things. I understand gas costs and everything else. And, it's one of those things, again, get out and support wherever you can.
100%. follow DJ Mays on DJ Mays Radio. We always appreciate you taking some time. Enjoy the rest of your sets this week, man. Shout out to your awesome wife, and then also Diggity Dom, who's been holding it down. He's a future mini trucker for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, he just keeps changing ideas on vehicles, and if he doesn't stop spending money on RC cars, he's never going to be able to buy a real car. So I got to try to make him understand this.
Well, hey, I'd rather it be an RC car than like a digital car, like in some video game.
He does that too. So don't worry. There's one of those. I forgot what game it is. He plays it on his phone and his tablet all the time, and he's always with a bunch of other people. And I don't know, whatever. You're spending $6 or $7 or $8 on a digital car that's not even yours, but whatever. Sure.
When you see Mickey Bike the Mayor, make sure he gives you a couple bucks for getting the tick mark this week. His binder is going to be bulging at the seams anytime. We're just going to have to keep him coming, hopefully.
Well, Mike is, Mike's not necessarily into, I don't know if we want to say the culture necessarily, but, he's gotten a few here recently. He's got a couple good ones.
Yeah,
so.
He's on a streak, so we don't want to beat him down. If we beat him down too bad, then he'll leave a show and go, you know what, I'm not going to count the inventory then. I'm like, no, I didn't mean anything bad. Like, no, everything's cool, right? And he's like, okay, I'll count the inventory. So, we can't piss Mike off too bad. We had to just push right to the limit, dude, right to the edge, and then we peel back.
Well, I mean, if we don't, then who else is going to drive the van while we're all sitting in the back in lawn chairs?
Right. That's right. We were sitting in the back, and then someone else was trafficking us off county lines.
I think it was Mike was driving, and Justin was.
I think
Justin was the co-pilot, and we're all in the back falling over. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good, man. Well, thank you so much, man. Again, keep doing what you do. We love seeing you out at the shows. And if you're a show promoter and you want to take your show to the next level, don't just take my word for it. Ask these other show promoters if DJ Mays is their guy. And they're going to tell you, hell yeah. So, Mays, keep doing what you do. Fist bump from afar down here in Florida and stay on the rise, my brother.
Definitely, sir. We'll see you.
All right. Hey, be good, man.
Bye, bud.
Yo, so DJ Mays, thank you so much, man. I love always talking with him. He's got that radio voice. You'll hear him at shows if you weren't at Mini Nats, and he does a fantastic job. But I didn't get a chance to thank him for kind of getting all the different podcasts together, these couple different days at Mini Nats. It really was an honor, and he pulled us together. He kind of had that open forum, and we talked. We answered questions. We talked about the state of the scene, our favorite mods, and all that cool stuff. So big ups. Thanks to Maze. Now, continuing the scene updates, Hammered Weekend Wear. So this is the last weekend of their pre-sale. Now, last week I did not talk about it, but HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Look, trust me, you hear me talk about this stuff all the time. Sideshow was recently. You had the Tahoe recently. Dude, amazing stuff they've been dropping, okay? But this one might be my favorite that's going to go down for this year. You have Dangerous Waters, Chad Luke's Crew Cab Mini on the rise. Chad was on. He's talked about his amazing truck. This truck looks fantastic on a shirt. You've got the alligator in there. You've got the skate deck. You've got that famous Hammered Weekend Wear, but you got that kind of bayou feel. It reminds me of some John Fogerty music that my dad and I love so much. But hammeredweekendwear.com, it's HAMMERD weekendwear.com. You also have Riza's Sequoia. Okay, so the Toyota Sequoia, known as SIK, SIKOYA. They brought it out. They dropped it on us back at Lone Star Throwdown. We did a reel of that thing cruising with those wheels, with those graphics. Man, just everything comes together on this one. So you've got the new school SUV kind of feel. You've got the mini, the crew cab, so you got the bigger rides. HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Now, speaking of that, Ben Smith, one of our biggest supporters, and I just love this guy, Ben. He's such a good dude. Crystal, his wife. You know what? Crystal, his girlfriend, great people. I shared in the Airhead Nation a group, Facebook group. I shared this post, and what was cool is Ben Smith and Waka and team, they teamed up for this family tradition shirt. And what's very cool is if you remember hearing Ben on the podcast, And if you know Ben, this truck is basically kind of like on the second/third generation. And it's not often you can say that from his dad, handed down, and it has a totally different look. So you see this red version in it, this old school kind of Andy Griffith show style town, and then you have the blue version on the outside, family tradition. So check it out. If you want something different, you can check out in the Airhead Nation Facebook group, and that was like the bragging rights clothing. And, of course, they've got the online stuff, and you can do different options with sizes and all that stuff. So check it out. I think the last thing that I wanted to cover for the scene updates is just really the scene is thriving. And I would encourage everyone, no matter how much money you have or how much money you make, get out there and have fun. There's shows nationwide, even if you can only go to the local stuff, okay? My buddies and I joke, sometimes it feels like there's too many shows. And that's not a bad thing. There's so much going on, and if you're a true enthusiast and you like to get out there, your head might be spinning because you're like, man, I can't make every event. And listen, I'm here to tell you, I totally get it. I've said that recently. You can't make them all. Totally got it. But there's plenty out there. Maze said it. In your area, look it up. You can go to ourlifestylepodcast.com. Now, on the left side, when you select... or if you just on the left, it says official OLP show calendar, you can tap there, and then you can select from that page where it says click here. You can tap there on your iPhone, and it will allow you to subscribe to our calendar, and we add all of these different shows, as many as we can. And if we have one that we're missing, reach out to us. Shoot us an email, ourlifestylepodcast.com, and we will do our best to add your event to our calendar. And you know, the idea of that came from a lot of folks still kind of sell, and around the holidays and Christmas, you'll see these different calendars. Well, you know, how often do you really flip that calendar and write stuff in and things like that? We're kind of in this digital world now. So you can subscribe to our calendar and just get out there, have fun, okay? Link up with some people, slap hands. I can tell you what we tried to really personify through this podcast is that you can go to a show and just walk up to someone and be like, yo, man, you know, my name's Joe, whatever. I'm not from around here, you know, love your truck. And I tell you, people are so welcoming. You hear it all the time. People say, hey, if you don't know me, come up to me, slap hands. Just, man, get you a chair, go to a show, have fun. The scene is thriving. So with that being said, the scene updates brought to you by Garage Gear Clothing. Now, listen, we talk about a lot of clothing companies, okay? I just rattled off a few. GarageGearClothing.com is one of the only that you're ever going to see in our scene offer free shipping on all US of A orders, okay? Whether it be Garage Girl, it be the Garage Gear, or muscle car shirt or sport truck shirt. You name it, GarageGearClothing.com. Get ready for the next born day or the next holiday by going to GarageGearClothing.com. All right, so next we got the key show updates, and we're going to go ahead and roll into audio now from Graham Hancock to talk about Rollin in the Red Rocks. Let's do it. Yo, so we're going to go ahead and transition, as I mentioned just a minute ago, into some audio with Mr. Graham Hancock, no stranger to the podcast. How you doing, our brother?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing real good out here.
Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on. It's cool that, you know, we stay in contact, and you're out there, of course, in Utah representing. And, man, I just wanted to kind of, before we talk about this show that you're going to be kind of getting behind and obviously throwing, just ask you how you been.
I've been good, man. Just out here doing my thing, just working and playing with trucks and trying to better my life every way I can in every aspect, you know what I mean? So I'm actually on the road right now. You may be able to hear some road noise behind me. I'm actually going up, I'm in northern Utah right now to do some training for the week, and you know, just I keep pretty busy lately. So
yeah, that's what life's about, man. And I try to think about it every day. It's like, how can better myself, right? And do things to help others, but also, you know, provide for your family. And I know that's what you're out there doing.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, and it's all a balance, man. You know, like I just went to California, went to cruising for cancer, helped by Unforgiven out there, and then now I'm back in the grind, back doing work stuff. You know, so. And I'll just, you know, keep keep doing the balance and loving it, man.
Yeah, and we also want to get the elephant out of the room. You had all the success and, seeing the Titan dually get over that edge in terms of this crazy paint and interior and a lot of kind of the final details that you oversaw as the owner of that rig. And you did recently sell that. So congratulations on the sell. And I know that you're excited for what's on the horizon.
Yeah, man. I was super excited to be able to co-parent. Jimmy and I would always joke about that. And, I was really fortunate to be able to pick that truck up. And then I was extremely fortunate to be able to finish it. And I kept Jimmy involved the entire way. And one of the biggest compliments I got with him, or from him, I should say, is he's like, I don't know that anybody else could have finished it the way that I did. And that was a huge compliment coming from somebody I look up to and also a good friend. And, and I'm loving that the guy who owns it now, is loving it just the same. And he's upgrading it and he's sending me pictures on things that he's doing and maintenance. And we talk pretty regular. And, seeing him cruising at mini nats and stuff was amazing because, that was a show I wanted to hit and I wasn't able to. And then Slamboree was also one that it didn't get to go to, but, we'll see if he can get out there and finish that off for me.
Very cool. Yeah, congrats to him. We saw it cruising out there and it was awesome. I love that Jimmy's running customs, initial build, and then obviously Cal Concepts come in and the crazy interior and, you put your spin on it. So tip of the cap. But, dude, let's talk about this new show. I keep hearing some buzz about Rollin in the Red Rocks. It kind of rolls off the tongue, pun intended. Talk to us a little bit about this show. Like, what's going down here in a couple weeks?
Yeah, so, obviously everybody knows my history with Slamfest and, being fortunate enough to be involved with that and learn a lot. And then, with being on the other side of the country, it was a little hard, so I decided to step away. And, it kind of left this void of something that, I was so heavily invested in the Slamfest for the past few years, and then I kind of didn't have anything to do. And I wanted to do something out where I live because, you've been out where I live. You've come to visit and stayed out at my house and stuff. I live in one of the most beautiful places in the country, and I want to show people why I live there, and I want to exploit how beautiful the Red Rocks are where I live, and I want to roll through them, you know what I mean? So it just kind of made sense to call it Rolling in the Red Rocks. And, this is first year. First year is always a little tricky, but I've been out there and I've been promoting it. I've been talking with people, and people are looking for something to do and looking for something new, and hopefully I can fill that void for them.
I love it. May 21st and May 22nd, 2022 kind of has that number 5/21 to 5/22 of 2022. Now, you didn't make the mistake Mickey Mike the Mayor made with Eastbound Get Down. He called it the first annual, and I was like, Mike, I don't think you can technically, if you really break it down, you can't call it the first annual until it's like after the first one. You know what I mean? Just giving them a hard time.
Yeah, well, you can. You just got to have that. Just got to have that confidence that number 2 is coming. So
right. Right. He goes, grammar police, man, stop. You know what I mean? I go, all right. But Rolling in the Red Rocks, just how it sounds, you've got the buzz on social media going, you got the website. There's going to be some people that are a stone's throw from there, right? You got a lot of friends and family out there, Vegas, even Cali. Although it might only be a couple weeks away, like what's the sales pitch other than what you've said kind of with the beautiful area? What other stuff are you going to have going on at this cool event?
Some of the things we're going to be having is I want to make this an event. So, if anybody knows me from Slamfest, everybody knows that I love doing the club games. And what I love about the club games is putting clubs against each other, and then they're always going to have that bond from there on out if they had fun doing it. And so one thing I'm doing is an axe throwing tournament. It's going to be 8 teams to start, and then it'll work down to 1, and then the winning team, teams are going to be of 4, and the winning team's all going to get custom pinstripes axes to take home. Because, how cool is a custom axe hanging on your wall? You know what I mean?
Imagine the first date with your girl. What's that again? Don't worry about that.
I don't. That little guy. Don't worry about that little guy.
Right.
But And then, being where I live, I want to exploit where I live, and I want to take people into the areas and the reason why I live here. And so we're Saturday night after the show will end, and give everybody some time to go to the hotels and, relax for a little bit. And then we're going to all get back, reconvene back at the show, and then we're going to go on a cruise from there. The cruise is going to take us to Snow Canyon State Park. So if you have a chance, Google that, check out some of the images of the park. And Brian Good and Frank from Custom Life, so Grinder TV and Custom Life, are going to be in the park, and they're going to be set up taking video and photos.
Nice.
I got a guy that I work with. He's runs a drone, and he just pulled the permit today so he can fly the drone in the state park, which is typically a no-no.
Wow.
But,
cool.
So we'll have some drone footage, and, state park, it's a state park, so it's got a fee, and anybody involved in the show, I'm going to be covering the entrance on that, so everybody can just be involved and not have to worry about the expenses after the expenses they already had of travel and hotels and registration and things. So, I want to add that to the show and as a thank you, to everybody involved, and hopefully, I just think it'd be awesome to have as many vehicles as possible, a bunch of customs, a bunch of classics, a bunch of hot rods, all cruising up, a 4-lane highway, and then entering the park, and just that incredible backdrop would be amazing. And those are the hot points, and I want to make the show a family-oriented event where, we've got bounce houses for the kids, because people are always like, oh, I can't come, I got my kids that weekend. Well, bring them, we're gonna give stuff for them to do too, you know what I mean? And like, Utah's very family oriented, so I want to do a family oriented show.
Very cool. Yeah, and what's awesome is if anyone is listening to this audio, trust us, take a moment, pull up Google Maps and type in St. George, Utah. Okay, you're going to see it's kind of just above, just north of the Arizona line, I believe. And to your left, you got Las Vegas, kind of the southwest. But then the whole state of Utah, because at this point, right, you're in southern Utah. And I've been out there, as Graham mentioned. It's a beautiful place. Graham, this happens oftentimes with the first-year event. You're going to have people that are going to kind of see, well, let's see how it plays out. So someone could be listening now going, I can't make it in a couple weeks. I wish ODB would have did this earlier. But for those that maybe don't make it this year, we got to start thinking about even for 2023, right? Because my understanding is you do anticipate this show, sticking around a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the intention. You know what I mean? I want to do something, and I want to do something that remains as a staple on the West Coast. And, I've been being hit up here recent. You just had Jesse on a few weeks ago.
Yep.
From Canada, and he's building the Mazda, or as he says, the Mazda, which is a little weird. But, and he reached out to me, and he's like, you better be doing this in 23, man, because I want to have my truck there. And, shout out to him and Jen both. Jen's actually going to be doing some of my awards for me.
Cool.
So shout out to her for wanting to be involved and being excited to be involved. And then they both have reached out to people to give stuff to me for the raffles. But yeah, so Jen's doing some of the best of awards. I've got my buddy TJ Reese from RK Customs painting another set of awards. And then obviously, Daniel Smith, one of my best friends, Smith Works, he's doing the Best of Show award. And, just everybody involved is making this just amazing for me. You know what I mean? So the people that I'm going to have involved, the area that it's going to be in, so absolutely, they're all going to be pushing for me to have it for 23.
Yeah, you can go to Rollin in the Red Rocks. That's Rollin with an I-N and then another I-N. So rollinintheredrocks.com. Of course, social media, Facebook, Instagram. The cool thing is, though, you and I talked briefly before we started, and we talked about who would have ever thought 20 to 30 years ago, we've said this before on the podcast, that the West Coast wouldn't have as many shows, and then the East Coast would just be like, man, there's almost like, I don't dare I say too many, but there's a lot, right? So the cool thing is, though, you're bringing back not it's not a one-day show. And there's the few shows that the West does have, a lot of them are one-day shows, unlike like maybe Forbidden Fantasy and what Corey was going to be doing with Mini Truck Showdown. How excited are you to have, a multi-day event here to kind of come back to the West?
Man, I'm extremely happy, and like I really had like an internal battle with doing a 1 day or a 2 day, because like a 2 day show financially is a lot to bite off. But in my head, I'm like, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to do it right from jump. You know what I mean? So to do a 2 day event, as long as it goes off, I think that's going to be the thing that, with everything involved with the family atmosphere, with the cruise, being a 2 day event, I think that's what's going to get people to come from the East Coast, because we have a lot of people that go from the West Coast to the East Coast. Like, how many people from the West Coast just went out to Mini Nats? But how many people from that East Coast are coming out here? And that's what I'm trying to get. You know what I mean? I want to get that other coast to come out and see how the rest of us play. You know what I mean? Because we've got some trucks out here, man, that could shut the game down. But we just gotta mix those two sides. And I think with the things that I'm trying to do, hopefully that's something. And then like what I also tell people is, don't just come out for the truck show. Like, sure, I want you here. I want you to see where I live. I want you to, participate in the event. But bring the family out. Come for an extra day. Stay for an extra day, whatever it may be, and make a trip out of it and really take in what we have to offer. Because, I mean, we've got Zion National Park. We've got Bryce Canyon State Park. We've got Bryan Head. There's a ton of rad area here that I want people to come visit. Like, make a trip out of it. Don't just come for the truck show.
Yep.
Come make a trip.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of that, maybe someone has some points they want to burn and they want to fly out. If someone were to fly out to this event, what's the best airport to fly into?
So Las Vegas is about an hour and 40 minutes from me. So that's not too bad. It's just a jaunt right up the highway. That'll be the most cost efficient. We do have an airport that comes right into St. George, but it's a little small airport, so obviously you're going to pay a premium to fly right into St. George. But yeah, flying into Vegas, that's another thing. If you come out to the show, you also get a Vegas trip out of it too. You know what I mean?
Dude, I love
it. That's one of the reasons I love where I live, because like I'm an hour and 40 minutes, call it 2 hours if you want, to Las Vegas. I'm 6 hours to LA and San Diego. I'm 6 hours to like Colorado, where they do the X Games, like Aspen, you know what I mean? So like I'm really very centrally located. So you leave at 6 a.m., you're to me by noon if you're from, Colorado or California, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So
yeah, and I love how you kind of have that whole R thing going, because if you look at the artwork, everyone at Relaxin In The redrocks.com, you'll see it's, the primary words are R, right? Rollin Red Rocks. So you got that R thing going, which I think is awesome. Oh, we're talking to Graham. You can go out and, again, find more information. The thing that I would wrap it up and say, from my perspective is, that weekend you've got at least 3 shows. You got Relaxin In The Park up in the Midwest, right? You have Made of Steel show down here in Florida, your old kind of stomping grounds. Dover, Florida, that's a Friday, Saturday. And then, oh, by the way, you got Rollin in the Red Rocks out on the west side, and that's like a Saturday, Sunday. So, dude, no matter where you're at, man, you can get your fix on, right?
Yeah, we got the country on lock that weekend for sure. And, the West Coast is, been hitting it hard. Like I said, last weekend we just had the Cruise for Cancer show. And then we've got the week before mine, we've got Cruise of the Pines. And I'm going to try to hit that too, because that's enough. If anybody's got the opportunity, definitely to hit too, because that venue is hands down one of the most beautiful venues in the scene right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, Graham, we always appreciate linking up with you, and maybe as time goes on, we can talk about a little bit of a wrap up from your event and get some intel for next year. Again, of course, I know that you guys want to just kind of get through this year and have a good show and have a good time, that family atmosphere, but we are looking forward to the coverage that we know Brian and Frank will bring to their YouTube channels. Yeah. And, of course, we're excited about what you have going on for the future. So keep on keeping on.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate y'all, and and I hope everybody has the opportunity to come out. And if not, I hope they check out the footage and realize what they missed out this year and make the plan to come out next year.
Yep, it's a different kind of show, and we're looking forward to it. So, everyone, we're going to go ahead and jump back into the show already in progress. Thank you, Graham.
All right, brother. Y'all be good, okay?
Late. Dude, Graham, thank you so much for coming on. And as we recently announced, we're going to try to scale back a little bit on bombarding you with so many shows. Now, some people have told me they love it, and some people, we've really got no negative feedback, but I think trying to scale back a little bit and keep things fresh, the first episode of every month, we'll try to hit on the next few shows that are within scope, okay? So being that we're at the very beginning of May, we basically have Battle in Bama in a week. We have Cruise to the Pines, which is the 14th of May. That's Phoenix to Prescott. The following weekend, you heard me say it earlier with Mays, Relaxin in the Park. Graham and I just talked about Rollin in the Red Rocks. Made a Steel show here in Dover. 2 weeks away, you have Class Act presents Kicking It Old School. Of course, that's up in Barton Park in Boring, Oregon. 2 weeks after that, you got Scraping the Coast, which is the 24th, the 25th, and 26th. I talked about that at the top. scrapingthecoast.com for more information. It's a 20th anniversary event. 2 weeks from there, so you have the 1 week after Scraping is kind of that July 4th holiday weekend. Many folks will be enjoying a 3-day weekend because 4th of July falls on Monday, July 4th. But the end of that week is going to be the 9th and 10th of July, and that's when you have Southern Tradition. That's, of course, Canton, Georgia. Waka's behind that. You can go to Southern Tradition's website. You can look on Facebook, Instagram to get more information. It's a fantastic show. We've been there. I love it. I love the town. I'm actually going to try to go. Camp and Drag is the weekend after that. And then really that's where I want to kind of stop because we start getting into August with Slamboree and things like that. And it's a little bit too far out to really discuss now. The key show updates brought to you by our family at the West Coast Influence. You can go to, believe it or not, minitruckfilm.com, and you can order the Blu-ray or DVD of this mini truck documentary film, the West Coast Influence. So you can get a copy at minitruckfilm.com. Let them know that our Lifestyle the Podcast sent you. Okay, next, we got the podcast updates. So a couple things that I'll hit on here before we roll into Tim's audio. First off, thank you to everyone that has left us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. Like it or not, many of us are on Apple devices, and that is the main platform for reviews. And I'll tell you this, we've gotten some new ones in. We have just under 300, not quite 300. We have 264 ratings. So if you're on an Apple or an Apple iOS device, go into the podcast app, select library, select OLP, and scroll down really far down and tap the 5 stars. Once you do that, you can go and go a step further, and you can type or log in a review. So, want to thank everyone that continues to leave us these different reviews. It really helps us, and we really appreciate it. So, Apple Podcasts. Now, if you're on Spotify, like I am as well, they have a rating system, and you can tap the 5 stars, and that helps us. Thank you again for taking the time to do that. The merch update is ourlifestylepodcast.com, the same place that I mentioned earlier where you can go to subscribe to our digital show calendar. You can go out there and order the Time Machine merchandise. So we did kind of a soft launch at Mini Nats for the few things that we had our hands on. Banners, stickers, metal signs, things such as that. Of course, skate decks through Joey at Get Decked. What we're going to do now is we're going to hit you with the hoodies, the t-shirts, the tank tops, the zip-ups, those 4 items. Plus, for the first time ever, we're going to do a pre-sale on the aluminum signs, the skate decks, and of course, you've got 3 different sticker choices, and you have the banner as well. So 9 products from our lifestyle podcast to fit any budget. If you love Time Machine Truck as much as we do, shout out to Charles Armstrong, the kid. Also, shout out to Subculture Worldwide, great kinfolk, all right? Go out to ourlifestylepodcast.com and place an order. I'm telling you right now, during the pre-sale, you're going to have an option to get black, pink, and purple shirts. The black are all that we're ordering for any few extras. If you want pink or purple, which look fantastic, hit up ourlifestylepodcast.com. I think that's it for the updates surrounding the podcast. I want to thank Griot's Garage. Okay, I didn't announce this until now. Griot's Garage has come on as a partner with our lifestyle podcast. It's GRIOTS garage.com. I'll tell you, oftentimes I see these different detailing companies get the lion's share of the love because of how big they are on social media. And that's great. That's the way the world works. But Griot's Garage has been around a long time. I actually had Nick Griot on Lincoln Attic Podcast, and I'll be bringing more to you guys in the near future. But griotsgarage.com, they have all sorts of different deals going down. Whether you're looking for ceramic coat type stuff, high-end stuff, or just regular products like me, the guy that's kind of the novice, not even a novice, right? I'm used to using Dawn dish detergent, okay? For Christ's sakes, Brandon Burrell at Burrell Images is like trying to knock me out, going, dude, you can't use that on Bada Bing. Well, guess what? Now I don't have to. Griot's Garage, again, much, much, much more coming from this amazing company. Check them out. All right, Airhead Nation updates. I'm going to wind this down. You have basically Joey Dilworth, tip of the cap, big supporter of the podcast. You heard him on the last episode. His son is now driving an Isuzu. I'm proud of him. I love seeing younger kids get into these mini trucks. Tony Moore at Asphalt Army. Good kinfolk, and we didn't reinforce it earlier. He's one of the guys behind all of the illustrations for Relaxin in the Park. He's a great dude. And what I thought was pretty awesome is he's celebrating the 24th anniversary working at the company that he works at. So pretty cool stuff. He actually went on to say, I'm celebrating 24 years at Emerson Tool Company. So many great people have taught me so much over the years, and he's just a great dude. So tip of the cap to Tony Moore, a good dude, good family guy, and a big part of this scene of ours. Airhead Nation updates. Although I talked about Hammered Weekend Wear earlier, I want to give a huge shout out to Hammered Weekend Wear again. It's HAMMERD weekendwear.com. That's Hammered Weekend Wear. Go out there and pre-order the Sequoia or the Chad Luke Crew Cab Minis on the Rise. Dangerous Waters, Tacoma, amazing truck, amazing artwork on both. Tip of the cap. So, I'm not going to really talk much more about 1987. I could go on for another whole episode. We've already blasted through about an hour, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. Actually, more than an hour when we bake in Graham's audio as well. So big ups. The one thing I'll tell you is we appreciate everyone that rocks with us, that stays with us till the end. If you're listening to this on YouTube, thank you. All of those minutes watched help us. If you listen here and you have an opportunity to pull it up on YouTube later and just let it run through, that helps us. I'll tell you, it really does. So thank you guys and ladies. We've got some cool episodes lined up the next few weeks. Ruben's back in the catbird seat helping with nailing down a few guests. I've got some on my mind as well. Now we're going to roll into Tim from Acro, Florida. Great dude. Can't wait for you guys to hear his story. Kind of a mid-school guy, I would say. He's real deal Holyfield. So stay on the rise. 287 ODB. Where's Mickey Mike the Bear? He's out gallivanting. We got you. Peace. Yo, so we got to the part of the episode where I'm super looking forward to sitting down with Tim from Acrophobia. And Tim, I just want to welcome you to the podcast. How you doing?
Great, brother. Thanks for having me.
Dude, it's really cool, man. We got a chance to link up recently, and it's funny, there's truck folks in the scene that we might not always talk to, but like when you and I link up, we slap hands and we talk trucks, even if it's for a few minutes, man, like we know that truck connection. And that's the cool thing about our truck community, man. So I thank you for sitting down.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're just a giant, big, sloppy family.
I know Nate and Jessica, they used to always say we're going to have, it was the Framily, I think is how they said it. I'm trying to remember. It was like friends and family remix to Framily.
Yeah.
Good peeps. But
yeah,
no, so for the first time, I don't want to butcher your name, right? So I think I know in my head how to say your last name, right? So can you pronounce it for me? Or do you want me to say it?
You go first.
Saneewong.
Perfect.
So it's Saneewong. Like I could be like in the Chronic, the next like the remix, you know, like when Stoop goes DOGG I could never do that part, but I could do your last name.
yeah. You're one of very few people that can pronounce my last name right, and it's pretty simple.
I kept looking at it and I was like, damn it, I'm gonna get this right if he'll let me try it. But Tim Saneewong. And what's cool is I think of you, when I see you, bro, I think of Acrophobia. You know, you epitomize a good truck guy. You know, you're always out there hustling, and we want to talk about your Tacoma. But I'm kind of curious, right? The listeners always want to know a little bit of background. Like, where did you grow up? Like, where, like, what's a little bit of your background, man?
Yeah, I grew up in South Florida in Hollywood, which is right between Fort Lauderdale and Miami for people that don't know. And I grew up seeing guys like Local Minis and Aftermath and A Separate Reality. Yeah, and but I grew up seeing those guys, and this girl Jody that I grew up with, she was dating one of the A Separate Reality guys, and she pulled up in an Integra just like mine in high school, and she was on it was her boyfriend's car, and she aired it out right next to me. And at that point, I was fucking hooked.
Yes, that's the gateway drug, dude, right there. Mainline it, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, I grew up like just into Mini inspired Hondas for the first like decade, and then I finally got into trucks.
Yeah, well, you know, Eddie doesn't want to remember, but Eddie Sabreco, you know, I pushed him for a while. I was like, yo, when are you going to bring back Blood Drag? And what was ironic is when we started going down there, right, when he had it like at that community college, I remember some of those years, you know, seeing like Eddie, one of the founders of Acro, with his CRX. And,
yeah, you know, I remember that thing.
Yeah, and then remember seeing, you know, the different rides. I mean, that was in the era when mini trucking kind of mashed with the sport compacts. And like, you know, to your point, you started seeing Integras on air, on juice, on graphics, shaving this. That was a cool era. And when I was preparing and thinking about some of the questions I wanted to ask you, I thought to myself, like, you know, Diener from Low Bros, you know, he'll talk about mid-school BMX. That's what I kind of think. Like, you got in at a really good time, you know, that mid-school era when mini trucks mashed with the sport compacts.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Like, when I was coming out here to Tampa for Slamfest, like, we saw, like, in South Florida, there was a lot more mini-inspired or, like, cars that were on air at that time. There was a lot of cars on air. Like, I could drive down to Fort Lauderdale Strip and we'd be hitting switches on a bunch of other cars hitting switches on us. You know, it was a wild time, dude. It was great. But shortly after that, like, I feel like mini trucking didn't die, but I just kind of grew out of it for a little, and you know, just had my little 21-year-old lifestyle for a little. So then I got back into it, and you know, the quality of builds from when I first started to when I got back into it totally changed. You know, for the better.
They did, because you think back to that era. I remember, you know, Tailgate was popping off as a truck magazine, but some may forget or may not recall that they branched off. They were doing high beams, you know, mini trucking. They come along and go, hey, we're going to add sport compacts to the mix. And you kind of had that era, you know, some guys were building fast cars. Other guys were saying, hey, I want to be low and slow. And that was pretty cool. When you think back to that early era, right, was, you know, you kind of mentioned that one scenario that was like, man, you had me hook, line, and sinker with this vehicle. You know, I want to live a part of this lifestyle. Was there one vehicle that you think back to, even if it was one that maybe you never saw in person? I think of Bad Apple, that Honda Civic that, that got apparently totaled and all that. But, you think back to that era, and was there any one that really reeled you in, even if it's one you didn't see in person?
The Bad Apple was the one car that really, I was like, I want my car to get that. I was trying to figure it out. I was on Street Source, following everyone, trying to figure out how to body drop my Honda, which I thought it was easy at that time.
Yeah.
And then there was also Cheetah Blazer was my, one of my favorite trucks of all time because it got built by Mad Mods, and that was a shop down south that I apprenticed at when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I just really looked up to that shop and that truck at that time. I was only 16 or 17 when that truck came out, I think.
Yeah, Tom Bennett. And how cool is that, you get kind of older. That's what I love, being able to give a nod to someone to go, you may not be able, we're all dudes and stuff. We may not go up to someone and go, yo, hey, man, your stuff was the one that inspired me. But to me, it's cool. Tom's a good guy, kind of quiet on the quiet side. But, dude, he's been building cool shit, like you said, and that's etched in your mind.
Yeah, and I've seen that truck go through all the stages because down south they have this. They used to have this thing called Tower Shops, and it was a massive car meet every Friday night. I'm talking I would say a couple hundred cars every Friday night, and there'd be a whole section of just bag and bodied trucks, and they had a little mini trucking section, import section, classic cars. It was mainly all classic cars, but when I saw those trucks laid out in that parking lot, that's the thing that just changed my life. Yeah, I haven't stopped since. So.
Yeah, it's ironic, and even our friend Chuck Dog, he's an old local minis guy, and Jason Redden and some of those guys, and they really went hard in the paint. Some of the stuff they were building. You think back, there's that famous photo from Slamfest early days that they call the Skittles photo, and you see this mix. But you kind of mentioned, which was cool, was you had a separate reality, you had Aftermath, and you've had this explosion of cool clubs that kind of branched out from different groups. And, now people might forget, but people like Acrophobia with, Rico, putting the flag in the ground going, yo, we're going to do our thing down here and stuff. I think it's an underrated thing about our state, because back when I was getting in the late 90s, a lot of people were like, oh, Florida's neons and this and that. And, it was kind of maybe the laughing stock for a little bit. But you think back now, there's a lot of cool stuff that's come from our state.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of good builders in our state that are just building some dope rides, even painters, airbrushers, everyone's just stepped up their game since those days. But we've also grown and learned and, taught ourselves how to do things the right way. Back then, my Integra looked amazing, but it's held on by zip ties.
Yeah, I know, right? And think about this, for all the listeners, I want to reinforce, we would have never thought 20 years ago that, street trucks would kind of be in Florida, right? The editor.
Yeah.
And then, you think about Schulman having the West Coast crew cut, and you think, wow, that's here. And you think about all the clubs like Aftermath, and NC's been around 25 plus, and ST Florida getting there. You guys in Acrophobia. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in the state of Florida. And I tell you, man, sometimes Vic and I joke there's a lot of shows, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's mind blowing.
Yeah, we're definitely getting up there. I feel like the quality of all of our rides. It's not as. We don't have the quantity as California does or anything like that, but I feel like Florida's holding it down pretty well, this time around.
Yeah, well,
but we never really saw it before because we didn't have social media like we do now either. So
yeah, definitely. And when we think about the amount of shows, and recently kind of even talking with Graham, and folks will hear that audio earlier on this episode, that it's kind of almost crazy to me to think back to the magazines when I was growing up, reading so much, back to 93 in magazines at least, and seeing all the West Coast shows, and a lot of those are kind of dried up. And then now you got on the East Coast a lot of cool stuff. Even down south they got different cars and coffees and things like that, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But I wanted to kind of ask you, when you first got in, it sounds like you were kind of in the sport compacts, and then you took a little bit of a break. Did it take a while before you found yourself like in a mini truck itself, or like what was kind of some of the history there?
Well, I had that Integra that was bagged, fully shaved. It looked like I had a gold Integra on chrome Michi Spitfires, just like the one that's in your club.
Yes.
Sorry, that was in your club.
Yeah.
It looked almost identical to that car. It was just a different shade, older body style. But I went from that to a bagged little Honda, and then from there I started getting into mini trucks a little. I traded the Honda for a Nissan hardbody. I actually tried to trade the Honda for my truck when I was 19, and Smoley wasn't having it. He wasn't. I mean, we didn't know each other back then, but I tried to get that truck when I was like 19 or 20, and then I saw it in Truckin again, or not Truckin, mini Truckin, when some shop had it. I forgot what shop it was.
Yep.
But it was purple or blue. And I tried to get it again, and I couldn't get it. So I kind of just stepped out of the scene for a little while, just got my life in order a little, and then just stopped doing it for a while. And then I got there. Then I opened up the shop, and then I had my Juice CL, my Acura CL, that was fully shaved and all that.
That's when
stuff.
I think I first met you.
Yeah, that was before I was really with any club. I was in local finesse for a little. I tried to bring it out here, and that just didn't work out with the crew I had.
Yep.
And but that was in local finesse for a little, and then once I don't know how Keith Bryant got a hold of me, or I don't remember what exactly happened, but he's like, "Hey, you want to trade?" I was like, "For the CL, for the Tacoma?" He's like, "Yeah," and another truck. Like I had another Ford Ranger as well that I was starting to build, and he's like, "Yeah, just trade for those two for my Tacoma." I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
And it was actually the brown one he used to have that he wanted to trade, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'll trade you for that." And I think he went up to LST, or was it Scraping or LST? I think it was Scraping. But he called me. He's like, "Dude," he's like, "which color do you like better, red or brown?" And then he showed me the taco that I've wanted. Which I didn't know was the same taco, but he showed me the taco that I've wanted since I was 19. And I was like, "I want the red one." And then he trailered it back, and he traded the brown taco for the red one. And now I have the red taco.
Yeah, it's insane. And when you think about the history of how things go down, sometimes you'll end up with something that maybe you didn't ever expect. And talking through a lot of this, I want to give a shout out to Mitch from undergroundstyles.us on Instagram. He's a big supporter of ours. A good dude, works at a hospital out kind of the greater Orlando area. But he posts a lot of stuff kind of in that era, these sport compacts and things, and, stuff that maybe I'm not, I don't know all the history on all those, but, he does his due diligence to kind of dig up, some of the intel on them. And I always thought that was kind of cool. But, we're talking with Tim, and you can follow Tim. It's keep me honest. It's kind of like Rek Shit. It's REKSHT on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Now you can go check out some of his photos and look at some that he's been tagged in. He kind of hinted at the Tacoma. So when you first got the Tacoma, right? This thing has been through many phases. That I think is so freaking cool. You kind of hinted. So like when you first got it, kind of give us the overview again, the color and things like that.
When I first got it, it was called Retro Taco.
Yep.
And it had all red interior, all red outside, all red bed, and then graphics on the side, and then red on the wheels. I loved the way that truck looks. I still love the way that truck looks for the time. But being a custom shop owner, people are like, "Did you do the work?" I'm like, "No." I couldn't claim it as my work, and I couldn't enjoy it, being the fact that everyone kept asking if I did the work, and I'm trying to build my brand and stuff like that. So I was like, "Oh, it's time to just repaint it, redo the interior, and just start moving a little and changing a little, and then it just kept going."
Yeah, because you having the background of the paint and body world, right? You're a type of guy, unlike me, I'm being honest, you could pull your stuff in and go, you know what, on a Friday, you know what, I'm going to get up tomorrow and blow it apart. And at the time, you had your own custom shop. So, like, you literally blew this thing, like, wide open.
Yeah, I didn't go too crazy the first time around. I just did the paint body and, I still did a good amount of work to it. I don't know what I'm talking about. I did blow it apart for the most part.
Right.
But this last time is the time where I probably did the most to it.
Yep.
But the first time it was mainly just to get a different color on it, and then I think I decided to do different taillights after Slamfest one year. I got a spark up my butt from seeing other people's trucks, and I was like, all right, I'll just do that and just paint the bed, and then I did that and then redid the truck.
Yeah, because I remember I want to remind everyone. We talked about it earlier, but Made of Steel show is coming up, and it's going to be in about 2 weeks. It's going to be that Friday, Saturday, the 20th, May 20th and May 21st. I remember back to Made of Steel show 2015. Okay, and I saw your truck. Acro kind of parked on that main entrance road, and I remember seeing it then, and it kind of had the brownish interior. Right, real super clean, and I want to say, God, was it like a root beer or was it like a black paint, like a real dark outside?
It was really dark brownish green. Like it looked black, and then in the sun it flopped to like a greenish goldish color.
Now, what version of the truck was that at that time? Made of Steel 2015-ish.
That was my first version.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so you redo it. It's got the factory tails. You got the battery in the bed. The Acrophobia logo. Super clean interior. The dash was painted. I mentioned this recently. Kind of that reminiscent of the early 2000s when a lot of guys were painting the dash. I've always loved that look, that mod.
It still looks great.
Yeah, it does. And then, about how long did you keep it in that version?
I don't know. Let me ask my wife real quick if you don't mind.
And Vanessa, we got to give a shout out to Vanessa.
How long did it take? Probably like a year and a half.
Yeah, I think a year, maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe 2 years.
Yep.
But not long.
Yeah, and then yeah, I didn't realize it was that quick.
Yeah. So when you flipped the script, then what version did it turn into?
That turned into the red taco with the gold pearl.
Dude, that version was fire, bro. They were all fire, but that's the most fire for me.
I remember like everyone was like, you can't beat, because it was retro taco. Everyone knew that truck, and I remember saying to some club members, I was like, I have to step it up and get, because I can't do a basic job or else it's just not going to do the truck justice. So I think I chose the right color for that truck at the time, and it did great. And then when I did the taillights, I was like, all right, I'm changing the color. They're like, don't change the color, man. You're going to ruin it. They said it last time too, and I went with it. I loved that version of that truck. I still love that version of that truck. I wanted something different. It's been long enough, even though the truck never really saw too much of a show, too many shows, just because it got rear-ended, I think 6-7 months after it was done.
Yeah, so I remember one year you took it to Orange Beach Invasion, and it kind of had that burnt reddish color. That's the color we're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's the second version of the truck.
So that color, one thing that stood out to me then, and keep me honest because I'm trying to keep all this together in my head, one of the mods I've always loved on these Tacomas is the shaved front fender, the turn signal, right? When I look at that 3/4 shot, at OBI, Orange Beach Invasion, and you see, you had shaved that one, and it looks so perfect. Now, I don't like it on every truck, like a 94, 95 S10, not my favorite mod. On these, I freaking love it.
Yeah. And I loved it for the first 2 versions, and then on the third version, I was like, I got to change it up and just put them back. I like it now with with all the front bumper shaved and the grill's shaved now. There's a bunch of little stuff that a lot of people don't notice on the newest version of the truck. But even then, the red version, I'm looking at the Truckin plaque right now, and I love it.
Yeah, it was cool, and that's the cool thing you can do if you're in paint and body and stuff like this, because you start talking about doing mods like that and then unwinding them. We saw that with rest in peace Rob Scepter's Isuzu, that's still owned by a local guy, but when Matt had put he had cut out the roof and he had put the rag top in. And then another guy comes along and goes, well, I want to put the roof back in, or I want to. It's a walkthrough. I want to take that away. It was this. Let's unwind some of these mods, and that's cool to me, because you take a big mod like that and go, you know what, I'm going to throw a different fender on it or whatnot, and it makes people kind of scratch their head, going, damn, didn't this have the shaved corners? So I think that's dope, man.
Yeah, I wanted it to this time around to kind of fit the time, right now I'm really into, well, not really into, but I've worked at custom shops. We build a lot of hot rods and stuff like that, so I'm very that's what I see more than I see mini trucks, to be honest, besides on Instagram. But I see a lot more hot rods locally, and that's more of what I'm inspired with this time around. I wanted it to have a street rod type of feel.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I remember, I hate Phil Gordon. He had shot my truck. I remember seeing photos of yours when it was a rolling shot. That was part of the mini Truckin feature, right?
Yes, sir. Truckin.
Truckin, that's right. It ran in Truckin. And
yes.
When I think about that version, so that's the version, did you have that version the longest before it got rear-ended? So talk to us a little bit about maybe how long you had it in that version.
I think it was only 6 to 7 months.
That's
but
it?
Yeah, because it got rear-ended maybe a year at most, but it got rear-ended shortly after that. But I've redone it a couple times. I still drove it around in red primer for a while. No one ever noticed that, because I not painted, but I primered the bed red, so it all kind of blended into each other. So most people didn't even notice it was under construction.
Yeah, I do recall seeing it like that, and what blows my mind though is the different versions of it and how kind of little of a time maybe it stayed that way. Now, do you recall? There's the old, rest in peace Ernie. Ernie would talk about the mini Truckin curse, and a few people would. Ernie's unfortunate Mitsu got rear-ended, and we've seen that from a lot of different vehicles. Had the feature already ran before it got rear-ended?
Did it run? I don't think it ran yet. I think it was a couple weeks before it came out. I got rear-ended.
See, we needed to kind of break the mini Truckin curse. Truckin, mini Truckin. People used to joke with me, well, why don't you drive your truck that much? I go, well, hey, I don't want to get rear-ended, if I don't drive it. But in all seriousness, I think it's cool that, you've been able to switch it up. Now, when I look back at some of the photos, keep me honest, the truck, when it was for CHUN Taco, that version, the dark green with the dark brown interior, that ran in the Japan magazine, right? Yes, it ran in Custom Trucks Japan. So what's sick, right, is you get the stamp of approval for that version, right? It's super sick. Yeah. You flip the script, Phil Gordon shoots it, it runs in Truckin. Yes. It gets rear-ended. Some would say, hey, throw it in the gutter, go buy another, like Easy said. You go, no way. This is my freaking blood, sweat, and gears. You flip the script, and then you redo it. What's the next version you do? Hopefully nothing. But, I mean, you mean the next version after the red? Right, after the red. Yeah, we started, after that, I was like, all right, let me, I needed a new bed because it got rear-ended. So I found a used bed that was already tubbed out and shaved. It wasn't perfect, but it needed work. But so I got that on there. I started doing the Prius taillights again. The whole back end is shaved this time around. And we did a tilt bed on it, and we also did the 4Runner rear window, a full custom interior, like full custom dash door panels. It was my first time ever building any of that stuff. I've never worked with wood in my life. So it's not perfect, but it makes me happy, just to be able to do it and figure it out myself. And I'm probably going to get back into it in a couple, maybe next year, and just redo some panels and, just slowly. At this point, I just wanted to enjoy my truck. Yeah. Enjoy that. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I remember as a child in like late 80s, early or 84, 85. I remember my dad and my mom, they had planned this big thing with the house, and they were gonna do this remodel, and they did it, and it was of course over 6, 7, 8 months, and we didn't have a lot of money, and they kind of were figuring all that stuff out. But I always think about that with like a truck, right? Because I don't have the skills that you have, and when you have a truck that like that green version that was so nice, like I almost think about it as like you wake it up on a Saturday going, all right, I'm gonna take the sledgehammer and knock this wall out, and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that in our house. But you're doing that with a truck. Is it sometime like the truck's so nice? Is it like gut wrenching to go, man? All right, let's start ripping this thing apart.
No,
It's just like boom.
Once you're a custom guy, you just got to do it. You like me as a body man and as a painter, I know whatever I fuck up, I can fix.
Right.
At least I can, like with mechanic stuff, I do not mess with that stuff. That is, I stay in my lane for the most part. Like there's just too many small nuts and bolts, and
it's like me. I don't like to mess with carburetors. I'm like, there's too many small parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, that's cool. But so you when the red version, right? It gets rear-ended. That was like circa like how many years ago was that? Was that like 4 or 5 years ago?
Let me see. That was in 2019. 3 years. Wow, that was only 3 years ago.
Yeah. So then you flip the script and you like, what's the vision that you had with this the current version, the one that when we linked up, for the car fix shoot, Joel Cruikshank and Scotty the Body and these guys come through and we're able to link up and go over to film for this Motor Trend TV deal that we'll talk about. What was when you get rear-ended and you have this like frustration on your mind back in 2019, or maybe you're a mini trucker and you just go, hey, this is great, man, now I can redo it. What was the vision of the truck at that point?
Well, at that point I was like, all right, well, I need to fix the cab because the bed pushed into the cab. So I was like, I've always wanted a 4Runner rear glass, so let me start that. So I started that, and then I started doing the dash and doors at the same time. So I cruised around in that for the past 2 years, pretty much, to where it was in primer. It's a mini truck. I'm a mini trucker. I could ride around in primer.
Sure.
So I enjoyed it the way it was for a while, and then last year, I think it was the beginning of pretty much since COVID started, I was like, all right, it's time. I need to start driving this thing, and I hate the longer it sat, the more random shit just went wrong with it.
Yeah, when they're not being driven.
Bushings went bad. Yeah, bushings went bad just sitting on a jack stand somehow. So I started fixing all the little stuff to make sure it drives properly. My thing is, since I'm not really a mechanic, I just want to make sure it's mechanically sound before I dig into it.
Yep. So do the basic kind of preventive maintenance. If you see like a bushing torn apart, it's like, okay, let's switch it, grease it up. That's how you deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we mentioned your wife, your lovely wife Vanessa. She's always smiling. Is she? We don't give enough credit to our better halves, right? Because if you think about the amount of time and money we spend and things like that, is Vanessa, I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you, is Vanessa the one going, no way, you're not going to spend another penny, or is she the one pushing you to do more?
Well, now that the truck's not done, but now that the truck's closer to where I want it to be, she's like, no more on my truck, because she's got a 61 Volkswagen Bug, so we're out bag this year. But she's very supportive because I'm at the shop every weekend, every night almost, tinkering with something. She's ride or die.
Yeah, that's cool. And, rightfully so. She's a lady and she's trying to go, yo, I got my stuff too, man. Let's work on it. So she's trying to fight for her right with the V-dub, and I like that.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think our ladies get enough credit because, you think about the amount of time away and, the dedication that we have to some of these builds and money and the debt and this and that. It's, there's a lot that goes into it. And the cool thing is, as I've gotten older, like sometimes I'm like, man, I don't want to go out there and jack this up and tear this apart. It takes like the mentality to go, yo, tomorrow we're going to be up at the shop and we're going to blow this thing apart,
Yeah, you got to push through it.
Yeah, you have to believe in yourself to go, you know what, All right, as soon as I take this fender off, man, we're diving into this thing full blast.
Oh yeah, and I've done that so many times, especially with this truck. You know, I keep getting deeper and deeper into it. Today, I just redid I've redone the wiring on the back half of that truck so many times because I've had to blow it apart so many times. So today, I finally went back in, cleaned everything back up, repainted everything, just sitting for it sat at my shop for a solid year because I just got too busy with life and but yeah.
Yep, it happens. And the cool thing too, I want to get back to your truck is, when I went out to Lone Star Throwdown 2014, I got a chance to park next to the Zerati's Toyota. And I love that thing. And as you know, every time I see you, I always go, man, I love this roll down back window. And that's one of my favorite mods. Obviously the 4Runners had them and the K5 Blazers and the wagons and stuff. But, mini truckers, one of my favorite trucks was the Isuzu Space Cab that was built long time ago, kind of started in Florida. Anthony from RA kind of ends up finishing it. And this thing, about 15 years ago or so it was finished and it had the roll down back window. But what was cool is seeing it in your truck, man. That's one of my favorite things. And like you said, that was a lot. Talk to us a little bit about that mod.
That mod, when I cut the window open, I was like, what? That was the one mod I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck did I do? Because I was like, that is a big hole. The bed, I didn't have a bed yet, so I was like, oh, I hope this all lines up right. And that mod really scared me. But once I got into it, and I talked to Zerat, and I actually talked to Chris from Local Finesse in Texas, I think, and I just got their opinion on things and how they did it. I did it a little bit different. I used the factory, pretty much the factory inner panel. Instead of building brackets to hold up the window motor and all that, I used all the factory panels and just modified those to fit and sit right. And but those guys definitely helped me out because I would have been a little clueless without their help.
Yeah, that's very cool. And that's what main truck scene's about, helping each other out and things like that. When you think of the truck now, right? So just we're painting a picture for folks. It's a white color on the outside. Mm-hmm. And then the interior, talk to us about it because I know there was some big stuff that you did with the dash and whatnot.
Yeah, I did a full sheet metal dash that I bought a bead roller and I kind of figured that out and bead rolled the dash together. And the only thing I didn't do on the interior myself was the seats. I had my interior guy, his name's Dredd. He did that. He's the one that did the the Tacoma with the brown interior. Mm-hmm. He did my CL. He did, he does really good work. But so from there I built the center console, the sub enclosure, the door panels. I drew them all out on a little art app that I have. It's called Procreate. I drew it out and then I kind of just winged it and figured it out and looked at pictures from everyone on Instagram, how they kind of did it, and asked my buddy Wes and asked my buddy Gator. I just asked a bunch of questions every night. Every night I was like, dude, how do I do this? And, everyone's helped me out along the way. It sucks that, we all kind of live too far apart, so no one was able to physically help me as much as I wish we could have gotten together.
Yep.
But, the mini trucking community is super strong. Everyone was always by my side helping me out, so.
Yeah, Gator, Angie, a lot of the Acrophobia family kind of just in the Tampa Bay area to Orlando to the Panhandle, a lot of good acro kinfolk. Gator's no stranger, obviously, to interior type stuff. And like you said, it takes a village, right, is what my mother-in-law used to always say about my son when he was a little baby. She's like, hey, it takes a village to raise someone. But you think about a mini truck and all the time and effort that goes into it. A question I had was like when you shave the fender turn signals, do you end up keeping a separate of those fenders, or because you're a paint and body guy, you're like, nope, just lop those back off, and then boom, we're back to, how does that work from your mindset?
I still have those fenders just because to me it's an iconic truck. To me it's the truck I've wanted since I was a kid. So I still have those fenders. I just thought I was going to just buy factory ones and put them on. That was not the case.
Yeah.
I don't know what the initial build was to the fenders and why the factory ones didn't fit properly, but I ended up having to section the factory fenders to make them fit, and these were OEM fenders too. I had to section it and make them fit to what they look like now. So, but I still have those fenders. Whenever
cool.
I get a house with a garage, I'm going to put it in my garage. So.
Yeah, one truck that comes to mind, talking about Tacomas, I got to give a huge shout out to Eric Cryan. His Tacoma, was named kind of like 99 in Dragon or Daily Dragger, and
oh yeah, that's another one. Yeah. That's another one that Mamod's built.
And you think about how iconic it was to have a brand new truck back then and lay this thing out, and it's white primer, then it becomes copper. But one mod that I always thought, and I don't know if everyone always sees it, is like you have the on his truck he had the front turn signal shaved. You got that real clean look against the headlight, but underneath it, right, was typically the plastic piece of the grill. I think it was plastic, and it comes up and it butts up against the fender. Well, he shaved it on his, and it comes down, and then basically that fender ends up having that little piece that's molded in that goes underneath the headlight. And like I see things like that, not even as a Tacoma guy, so to speak, and I just go, man, that's the cool shit I love, man.
Yeah, that's the stuff I remember, like even with my little Integra, there's in the back of those, there's a little scoop to slide your hand through to lift the trunk up. Yes. I shaved that stuff. It's the little things that, it's the little details that no one will ever see. On my truck right now, the front grill is shaved. There's usually two grills on the side of the center grill that's shaved. Shaved the front bumper, which was the corner lights on the front, the turn signal lights on the front bumper. But it's just the little things. It doesn't necessarily pop, but it makes it makes the cleaner, subtle, classy look that I like.
Oh yeah, we're talking with Tim from Acrophobia, and when I think of your truck, oftentimes as many truckers, we start off with standard cab trucks, and that quickly back in the day escalated to an extended cab, then now crew cabs are on the rise. But when you think of the dedication that you've had to stay in this standard cab truck and driving it, pretty much every day for a big portion of your life, the last several years, do you ever go, man, I wish I had a crew cab, or I wish I had a full-size truck, or are you that dedicated that you're dude, this is me?
This truck's going to die with me. Nice. I'm taking this truck to the grave with me.
Nice.
But the other night, me and Justin Pullenham, I can't ever say his last name, but he's a club member of mine, of ours, and he's actually working in town by me, so he brought his truck out, and we cruised around, and seeing a big truck on big wheels, it hits differently, my truck, when I'm cruising down the strip with random people, it's either thumbs up, people point and laugh because it's a small little truck skating down the road, or people are wowed by it. The big trucks, people are always I love the way his truck looks. It's just big and spacious, and but I'm still a mini trucker.
Right. Oh yeah, we know that. Well, earlier this year, I think it was going to be the last weekend in January, and then it morphed to the first weekend in February. We had the opportunity to go down to kind of the Ybor greater Tampa Bay area and link up with Jeremy Bumpus, and we can't thank him enough. Had that car fix photo shoot. Joel Crookshank and Scotty the Body, they were involved, and thanks to Joel Crookshank from NC Florida for helping. The cool thing is at the end, right? You go, yo, Jay, I got you, dog. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna help you out with what you got going on, and I appreciate that. And we came back, and you got in your truck, and those older folks came by, and they're like, "Oh my God, this truck is so low. Can I take a photo?" And it stuck in my mind because I love seeing when someone that's older or any age, they give respect to hey, this is a cool custom vehicle. This is like a Hot Wheels or whatever, versus them going, "Oh, this is so dumb. How do you drive it? This is and to me that brought a smile to my face that day, man.
Yeah, and I think especially nowadays with all of our builds, the older crowd definitely appreciates it more. They see the quality that has gone in. It's not just drag and destroy, beat up, trucks anymore. We're building them, just as good a quality as some of their builds. So that's why I go to a lot of classic car shows and stuff like that. I love the feedback from a different crowd,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. When you think back to the current state of your truck with this red interior, the white paint, the roll down back window, all these different mods you've done, what's the favorite thing that you have? It could be anything about your truck.
I would say the pinstriping is one of my favorite things.
Nice.
It's just pretty subtle, and it definitely brought the truck more together, because without it, it was really plain. And Mikey did all the pinstriping for that. And then I would say my interior, even though it's not exactly where I want it to be right now yet, I'm just proud that I figured it out myself, and I'm looking forward to learning more and continuing to build that part of my, I guess you would say, resume.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and it looks so good. And it was funny because when we were at Eastbound Get Down, thanks for coming out, all the Acrophobia, including yourself, and supporting Mike and John's show earlier in January. What was cool was I looked at the pinstripe, and it kind of brought me back to, it kind of has that old school little 80s, early 90s feel to it. And that's the cool thing about your truck, in my opinion, is you changed it so much, but you haven't got sick enough of it to go, I'm going to punt this thing. I want to keep it. Do you foresee, it seems like you got a shot clock to your mind on how long you're going to keep it this current version. Do we have a year or two to see it in this version, and then are you going to flip the script?
Yeah, I'm hoping at least 4 to 5 years.
Good. Like you said, enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm going to just drive the shit out of it. I just want to, and that's when after it got rear-ended and I really started tearing down to get it to this point, that's probably the longest that truck's ever sat. The first time I painted it and redid it, it probably sat for a week. I redid all the bodywork and paint within a week. So, it was almost frustrating, because I was like, God, I got a cool truck, but I can't drive it. It's just torn apart. I need to get it together, and it was depressing.
Yeah, I know. That true truck life.
Yeah, and then I got a bagged Mini Cooper and started working on that just to hold me over for the meantime.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fully do it.
No, man, I know exactly what you mean. And Vanessa's probably, she's going to listen to this and she's going to be stabbing the ODB. What do they call those little voodoo dolls? Going, that son of a bitch, quit telling him to redo it, man. Let him keep it a couple more years, man. No,
she's used to it by now.
No, that's good stuff.
She's been with me since day one. Because I got this truck almost a year into our relationship, or 2 years maybe. And she knows it's who I am. It's what I do.
Yep. Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to you think about Dave and the crew that he oversees with being the president of the club, and I think of Adam, just a great dude with his Colorado. I didn't get a chance to give him a shout out last week with just how good the graphics came out and how awesome that thing looks. And there's just a lot of good members in the club, whether they're new school guys or old school guys. Like yourself, you've been in a long time. And I know that's a good feeling to be a part of Acrophobia. I know they've won Club of the Year in mini trucking and things like that, and it's just a good crew, man.
Yeah, they're family. I spend every show that we go to, we just, it's like it's like a new family. Just every time we hang out with everyone.
Yeah, it's always real deal, man. I know, and that's the cool thing about that family atmosphere that they have, dude. It's just, that's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to kind of wrap up with a couple more questions. So I know this one's going to be putting you on the spot, but when you think of Tacomas, right, and you can't pick yours, you can't pick your own. There's so many, and I get them all mixed up. The names, the people are like, hey, that was Relaxed Tacoma. That was, Taco Supreme. That was this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them, and I can't rattle them off like I can like an S10, right? But, when you think back, is there maybe one or two Tacomas that stick in your mind that go, man, these are some of my favorite ones?
I got a bunch. There's Chump Change is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Remember what was that brown one with all the graphics on it? It was a unibody. He welded like the bed all together. Oh, it wasn't black. It was blue. Yeah, it was a blue one, I think.
Yeah.
But,
I know there's so many.
Yeah, there's not too many Tacomas in Florida that are really out right now. Besides, I'm trying to think of. CADs. I love CADs
Crew
from
cab.
Negative Camber. That thing is insane.
Yeah, I love
think
that
it's
truck,
beautiful.
man. The dedication that he went through. It was already so nice before. But
Yeah.
you know what? Like you said, as a true mini trucker earlier, I thought it was awesome that you've stood by you've stood by the regular cab truck. You've added the roll down window, all kinds of cool mods that people can see in person. But yeah, man, dude, it's been a pleasure, bro. Just talking about trucks, man. Talking about the cool stuff. The car fix thing, we had such a good time that day, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no issues that day, man. It was just all good times.
Yeah, we need to do it more often.
I know, man. I know. We always say that, but I think we truly do, and that's the cool thing. It made me click. They go, there's so many good people around this area. We can do whatever we want to do, whether it's a meetup on a Sunday or a Saturday. Let's do our own thing and lead the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just go grab lunch, cruise around, grab later lunch, cruise around some more, and go home.
Yeah, mini truckers in mini trucks getting coffee or something. We'll have to come up with a catchy name.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Next thing you know, we'll have a TV show.
Yeah, mini trucking and coffee.
Yeah, there you go, man.
That doesn't sound right. It's more like mini trucking and PBR.
Right. Yeah, I know, man. Give a shout out. I know we mentioned Vanessa. Maybe we can get her to yell from the other side, but man, she's good people, man, and I always appreciate her smile on her face.
Well, say hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
She knows minis are on the rise, and look, the dog, they appreciate it too.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, I also want to shout out, my Acrophobia crew, and Mike Barsha helps me out a lot with the interior stuff.
Oh,
and
good.
Wes and Gator, and, all my homies.
Yeah, Mike's always extended out. I see always trying to help others, and that goes a long way in the scene, and I got to give him a tip of the cap for that.
Yeah, we're all family, man.
Yep.
If anyone ever needs anything, even if I don't know you, just reach out. Worst thing I could say is no.
Yep. Yeah, so follow Tim on Instagram, REKSHT, and go give him a follow. He's a good dude. Tim, man, bro, we talked about all kinds of cool stuff. Minis, of course. I love your Tacoma. I really do, man. It's such a cool truck. Anything else you got to share besides your love for the Acro crew?
No, not much, man. Just keep on trucking.
Yeah, keep on trucking, keep on mini trucking, and stay on the rise. And if you guys haven't already, download Motor Trend. I think you get a 7-day free trial. I watched it on Apple TV. You can go and check out Car Fix with the Maverick, Jeremy Bumpus. You'll get a chance to see Scotty the Body's Mazda, Tim's Tacoma, my S10, and of course Joel Cruikshank. Although he wasn't there, he did help orchestrate it, like the gang leader he is. You know what I mean? But
yeah, he definitely hooked it up. That was a fun time, man.
It really was. It brought a smile to my face. And Tim, thank you so much. Big ups to Vanessa, all the Acro family. It's cool having you on. You're a local dude. We always talk when we can, and stay on the rise, brother.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
On to the next episode, everyone. We'll see you next week, God willing, with another episode. Stay on the rise. We out you.
Peace.
Yo, it's a wrap. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate Graham. And then, of course, DJ Mays. Follow DJ Mays on Twitch. Download Twitch. Search DJ Mays Radio. All good people. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap this one up with 2 updates. I did want to let everyone know the Mini Truck Hall of Fame voting has finished. And I'm hoping next week to share those names with everyone, those shows, these builders, so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to that. Congratulations in advance, although I can't share the names yet. Congratulations to all of the inductees for 2021. I think it's going to be pretty awesome, and very stoked for some of our colleagues in the scene of ours to kind of get patched in, so to speak. Last update that I had, which was late breaking, it literally got posted on Thursday. Or late Wednesday, Thursday. the Cruise to the Pines, Arizona car show. So I've been talking about that one. Obviously, it's one that's on the horizon here in the next week or two. That event has officially been postponed. So I know what you're thinking. It's like, damn, what's going on? Starting to see shows canceled, postponed. This one is postponed to 10/1, so October 1st, 2022. And if you follow Cruise to the Pines on Instagram, you will see it says Cruise to the Pines, Arizona car show is officially postponed. New date, October 1st, 2022. Same location. We're heartbroken to announce that we have been forced to postpone the 2022 event until further notice, or until the fall, rather. Firefighters have been battling the Crooks Fire in Prescott National Forest for the past few weeks, and although they have the fire to about 89% contained, they have been using our showgrounds, Watson Lake Park, as their home base for the fire crews. So, we saw this in the past with Sicknick when Greg and team did that show, and there was hurricanes, impacting the region. Of course, we're seeing it now with wildfires, right? Other natural disasters. So, much love to all of the firefighters out there. That's not an easy gig. I know Ronnie from Truck Talk Media, he's all tied in, ingrained with all that stuff and his profession. So stay safe, everyone out there. And this will give us an opportunity, which I wanted to do, and talk about Cruise to the Pines. So we'll do that probably early September-ish to get ready for that 10/1 date. Go to ourlifestylepodcast.com. On the left side, you can subscribe to our digital show calendar. Of course, if it's iPhone, I think it lets you subscribe for some reason, even though it does work on Android. I don't know that it was working. So you can always email us, ourlifestylepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link. And apparently, if I send you the link, you can subscribe. So a couple of options. But Cruise to the Pines, postponed 10/1/2022. Be safe, stay on the rise, and grab some merch while you're on the website. ODB, we out ya. Peace.